Okay, you guys, it's actually drizzling outside. I have food wrap, cellophane around my lens. My camera's pretty good. Shut-off valve, there's always at least one on each side of the meter. There's a pressure control to release if there's too much pressure. Sometimes you walk behind the house, you will see gas. I'm going to discuss different types of piping when I get in the shop because I don't want to stand in the rain, and I got to go show you the meter on the other side. Okay, this is painted red. Most of the places I'm used to is painted yellow. Whether it be the whole piping, the valve, the meter area or something, usually painted yellow. And again, we'll discuss the piping when I get inside, okay? So let me pause the video because I got to go to the other side. Okay, this is more what you're supposed to see. The main gas meter. Here's one shut off here. Here's the second shut off to isolate the meter. Pipes will differ on the other side, so I'll discuss that. Another pressure control going in here. Another shut off meter, another pressure control. Okay? I just want you guys to get an idea of what you're looking at. There's a few different connections here, and we're going to discuss how to test these for leakage in different areas like up north and down here. So let me pause the camera and we'll discuss these inside when I get out of the rain, okay? Okay, you guys, this is our next YouTube video. I don't know, somehow in the past couple of months I trashed a couple of SD cards, or 3 of them. 2 of them were Lexmark, I believe, and one of them is SD, Extreme Pro. And I'm trying to figure out what I did. I guess the only thing I can figure out is I went from Canon to Sony to Nikon to Fuji back to Canon. And they lasted a really long time, but maybe all those files and then shooting photo and video, different formats, is kind of screwed up. I'm having issue with my software, my Corel software. They want me to upgrade, so they got my software not working, but I think it's the cards. You can see it goes worse. First I drop a few frames, then I drop a section of the video, then forget about it. I lost almost half the video. It just doesn't work at all. My SD card reader is a SanDisk, a very good one, so I know it's not that. So I have to figure out what to do in the future. Either way, I want to wish everyone a very happy holidays for the remainder of 2019 before we hit 2020, which could be a very interesting year. More on that later on. I want to discuss gas lines, gas leaks, some things to learn, some things to know. You guys can share what you know and your experiences, and I'll give you the best information I have. I hope it's helpful. In the first part of the video, I showed some of the piping on the exterior where you can lock out a gas meter if you have to, isolate it in case it has to be changed. That's really for contractors, people that work for the gas company. That is not for us. But God forbid you ever had an emergency, you wouldn't know what to shut off. That is a shut off to the location. In this particular place, each meter shuts off 3 individual units, whether it be condo, townhouse, apartment. It shuts off 3 individual units. So you might piss off a couple of people. But if you actually have a real gas emergency, you might do the right thing by saving your life, someone else's life, if you can't get someone there fast enough, and if you feel it's that extreme. Okay, so knowing that is kind of a bit of a backup plan. Other places where you might have a gas leak would be most likely the stove and the hot water tank if you're not using electric hot water tank. In rural areas, some people would have some type of furnace that they might use. Old houses might have some type of furnace, so you might have to be able to trace the lines. In some houses, there's no sheetrock in the basement. You can actually see the plumbing, and you can actually trace gas lines, water supply lines, drainage lines, stuff like that. So that's other things to consider if you're looking for the lines. So the exterior, the feed that's coming into the house, the stove, and a furnace or a hot water tank. Okay, those are main places if you have a gas leak that would be where it's at. It's rarity. Only one person ever told me they found a flexible gas line in the wall and they found a leak there. Other places you would get a gas leak, is actually from your neighbor. Your neighbor might have a gas leak. They might have left the stove on by mistake, and it's going to permeate through the wall eventually if it's enough gas leak. And you might get irritated, call someone. Hopefully you can get someone to come out and help you out. Okay, where I work and I live, They have a lease out here, so we always have people on call. Like myself, today I'm on call. So I wanted to make this little video for you guys. It's a little late. I blew the first 2 videos, so hopefully this one comes out okay. Couple of different type of gas shutoffs, and then we'll discuss how to search for the leak after we discuss that. This is a old school, has a couple of digits here, and it's going horizontal. That's just shut off. If this was parallel to the pipe, it would actually be open. This is black iron pipe, and interesting enough, on the black iron pipe, it doesn't, even after 50 years, it still looks this good. This is about a 45-year-old pipe from this location, original pipe. 1974 or so, in that neighborhood. Okay? It still looks that good because the gas must have some kind of oil in it. I know gas they put... Mercaptan, Certapan. I probably mixed that up. I gotta look up and put in direction correctly. I probably got some of the syllables mixed up. Mercaptan. So I'll figure it out, and I'll make sure I put it in direction correctly. It's basically a chemical that smells like skunk oil, and that's what you smell in the gas. You don't smell methane gas per se. You smell the chemical they put in there, and I think that has some kind of oil that helps preserve this good. I think that's amazing. Black iron pipe is actually one of the ones that rusts the fastest and goes out pretty fast. Another type of valve, I want you to see the markings on there. Very important. Okay, and then let me turn it around so you can see the markings on the other side. Okay, you should be able to see it says WOG, and I think this one might have a number 600 on it, which is extremely high. I would have thought it would have been like 125 or something. And WOG, I thought it was water or gas, but I believe it's water, oil, gas. Alright, so that's what you're looking for, shut-off valve. This one doesn't say squat diddly, but this one does. This is the ones they're putting on, the new ones they're putting in the bore valve, where you can actually see it turn off and turn on. It's quarter turn bore valve, and these tend to work better. It's a rarity. I seen one of these leak. If I do, it's on the bottom right there. It's on the bottom. Okay, that's where I would see it leak. I've never seen one of these leak, but there is a nut to tighten the handle on. I don't know if there's packing underneath there. These tend to be really good with the Teflon inside and the bore valve. They tend to be really good. This is what you're looking for. Now, I'm under the impression that you're not supposed to use this style, a traditional bore valve with cold, hot water. But ironically, can you see what it says on there? It says WOG and the same number. So, strong possibility in certain locations you can get away with this. But these are the 2 traditional ones you see. You will not see this on a gas line. I've never seen it. But it says you can use it. So, I guess things to look up in your neighborhood code, if you can get away with this or not. Okay? This is just a larger one. This one is 3/4 inch, and it has a yellow on there, which I would normally associate with gas, but it does not have WOG on it, and excuse me, and it does not have a rating on it. I would not use this valve for gas, despite being yellow on top. Probably work perfect for it, but I guess there's a reading here I'm missing. If you guys know something, let me know. Okay, now you're looking for your gas leak. You pretty sure you have a gas leak. Your nose might be irritated, your eyes might be irritated. You smelled gas in the past before. You know what it smells like. The locations is where you're going to go look for that gas leak. If you're lucky, you might have one of these. Okay, that would be real lucky. We use these, I don't know if they're professional or intermediate, but we use these to trace gas. They're extremely sensitive, and you can set the sensitivity so you can find a gas leak. probably should explain how to use these in another video, but nobody really has these. So you set it to a setting, you clear the nozzle, and you start looking for gas. And they'll beep, they'll go crazy if they find gas. And if they go crazy everywhere, then you might set the sensitivity very high so you can try to pinpoint a leak faster. Okay, they also make a smaller meter, kind of rinky-dink. It doesn't cost very much, probably under 30 bucks. I wouldn't quite trust those meters too much. They might be helpful in a pinch or bind. But that's another way to look for gas. Gas is also heavier than air, so it tends to go to the floor. And if you have a stove somewhere, you might be searching with that little rinky-dink meter on the base to see if you can find it. Stoves tend to have a gas leak behind the stove. Either the gas line, one of the fittings where the gas line goes to. Okay. So actually some of the piping I found leaks sometimes, and definitely old school valves I would find leaks sometimes. Okay. You really want to take your time doing it. If you don't have one of those meters, you don't have a rinky-dink gas meter, you can use something like this. Okay, it's a small bottle which you should be able to find in different places. If you have to run to a plumbing supply, that would be a way to go if you really have to do that. But most of the time, most people got someone to call. There's another one that we use here. Larger bottle, larger location. We use more often. Okay. If you don't have one of those leak detectors, you can actually mix some dishwashing liquid with some water, like you would use on a tire. You're trying to find a leak on a tire. The only thing with the gas leak on the tire, the bubble's going to go fast. With a gas leak on, since the pressure's so much less, it's going to go really slow. So you have to be patient looking for that leak. Spray everything up really nice. The piping, the connections, the gas line if you have to, the shut-off valve. If you actually 100% you're positive you can't get any help, that would be another way to find the gas leak using one of those leak detectors or some dishwashing liquid with some water, because it will bubble up very similarly, especially if you take your time and you're patient with it. Other ways would be your nose and sometimes your ears. Sometimes you can actually hear a gas leak if it's sufficient or strong enough. The other places I would find behind the stove would actually be inside the stove on the bottom where the gas valve is before the tray. It has connections, and one of those connections would be loose. That's a common thing I find from time to time, maybe every few months or so. I don't find it a lot, but that's something I would find. So the gas line, the piping, the fittings, the valve on the bottom, knowing that the gas is heavier than air, able to use your nose, your ears, and per se one of the leak detectors or dishwashing liquid and water, so you can mix things up and you can get things working. Okay. Mercaptan, Cerpatan. I believe that's it, Mercaptan. I have to look it up, make sure I got it right. Apologize if I got it wrong. I will definitely put in the description. You guys deserve better than that. About 30 years ago, so I asked someone, why it smells like that? Gas. And he said they put skunk oil in it. The Mercaptan actually smells like skunk oil, so maybe he was right, maybe he was wrong, but I always remember that. And every time I smell it, it smells like skunk oil. I smelled it to the point where my nose would irritate and my eyes would start to, maybe not water, but I would feel it in my nose and my eyes. That's when I knew it was very strong and that was dangerous. I've never seen a gas explosion except maybe on TV in a factory or something like that. So I have to give credit to the fire department and buildings inspectors, the people that are head of the Department of Buildings that set the codes and stuff, because of them, things are actually very safe here. I can't speak for other locations, but in the US I would have to say things are very safe. If you have to put a connection, you have to put a valve in, and you have to shut off at the meter outside, that would probably be the way to go. or call someone who knows what they're doing. You don't want to be switching anything on gas if you don't know what you're doing. This is a Teflon tape, mega tape. Comes in white, the traditional stuff. And they also make a yellow one that's made specifically for gas lines. Okay, something to note. I prefer pipe joint compound, Teflon paste, or even old school, that cotton rope that we use on steam lines on the threads. We wrap it around the direction of the threads on the pipe, and we put some Teflon paste or something on there if I need it. But for most time for gas lines, the pressure is so low you don't need that. Unfortunately, from time to time, I have run to a couple locations where the black pipe somewhere on the line, it wasn't tight enough and it started leaking years down the line. We also have a lot of vibration here, so it might have felt tight enough at the time, but due to time, we have a train that runs through here. Very heavy, big train. Oh, I gotta pause the video. Sorry guys. Sorry about that guys, I had to pause the video. Again, pipe dough compound, Teflon paste, the yellow for the gas line. You can use the string if you need it. Most of the time you don't. The pressure isn't that high. And I have seen some loose black iron pipe fittings for gas. You're not supposed to use a gas line in the wall. This would be a gas line with fittings that we use for stoves. About 4 foot long. They make shorter ones for hot water tanks. Okay? When it comes to looking for leaks outside, I've never seen a leak outside on what the town or the contractor put in. Their materials seem to be very good. The pressure control will leak from time to time. You can walk around the house and smell a gas leak and not realize it's coming from the pressure control with the diaphragm. It's just too much pressure inside and it's bleeding the line to release some of the pressure. Okay, you don't want the flames in the stove to go too high when you open up the valve, so it's the pressure regulator. I can't give you an exact number. From location to location, can be 10 to 15 pounds. I've heard 12 to 15 pounds, so I'm not 100% sure, but it's probably somewhere in that neighborhood. Okay. When it comes to hot water tanks, I've never seen a leak from the valve itself on the tank and its fittings that it came with. I've only seen leaks just before the valve, the fitting that goes on there, the gas line itself, the valve itself, or some of the black iron pipe connected to that gas line. Because sometimes at the location we at, we run a hot water tank and a furnace, and that line splits. So it could be, you have to look for the leak. It's not always that easy. Not always the detector finds it. Had trouble finding it even with the leak detector at times. The fastest I found a gas leak, 60 seconds. Not even. Opened the door, it was right there on the stove with the knob on. Half an hour maybe to find a really long one. Half an hour, 40 minutes. Couldn't find it in the house, had to go next door. Was on a short threaded piece of pipe that hit the elbow after the gas valve, and that piece of pipe was actually in the wall. And I found that with the meter. The meter found it for me. Setting it very high sensitivity because it was very small leak. So it was hard to find. Got lucky on that one. So they're not always that easy to find. Being patient is a good idea. If you feel you have to vent the place, it's that strong, making a draft. If you're on the upper floor, front and rear windows, so you can draft the place, open the doors. If you're downstairs, front and rear doors, so hopefully you have doors off, front door, rear windows, so you can run a draft in the place. You can get the gas out of your location. You really don't want to even use light switches. You don't want to use candles. You don't want to have anybody smoking. Any source of ignition, you don't want it. You forget about it. Good things to remember. If you feel you have a strong enough gas leak that you could possibly have an issue, that would be things to avoid, things to understand. Okay? When I'm working on gas, I used to use pipe wrenches. They tend to be a little too big. So I went to these two guys, and so far I have not found 12 inches Milwaukee. These are the ones that once you set them, they don't loosen up at all. Gotta get your numbers. Leave this in the description below. Well, here's a number right here: 48-22-7412. These are 12-inch ones. I'm not sure how long I had them. 8 months, maybe longer, and they work really good. I gotta do a slight review on these because I actually ordered an 8-inch. These work that good. They also make a 6-inch if you need it for tiny fittings, like pilot lights, thermocouples, 5/16 1/4-inch screws in small locations where you don't always have a wrench with you. If you have adjustable, it might get you through. Time to time, I've used a couple of these channel lock style wrenches. This is from Nipix. My favorite right now. I've tried a lot. I've tried channel lock, tried Klein, tried Irwin. These are my favorite. They're as strong as the rest of them, and they're lighter. So something really well made on these, made in Germany. It is 8702250. How size are these? 10-inch? Says made in Germany and self-locking. And I do not see a size on there. It says Vandium. Nope, I don't see a size. They're cobra pliers. They got several different models according to insulation or grip, size, features, stuff like that. This one has a ton of locations to actually lock your jaw in. Can we get that? Yeah, we can. I think you can see that there now. Oh, it's down here. That's why you can't see it. It's down the bottom. Ton of locations to lock your jaw in. It's not just grooves. So something to think about, okay? Traditional pipe wrench. Heavy, bulky. I believe I've seen this before. Something like this. Or at least something similar, which is a little bit lighter. I believe it's made out of magnesium or different material. It doesn't spark. This is 12-inch. Pretty heavy. This one might not be magnesium. They are specific type wrenches in these type applications. Things to note. I think I gave you all the information I have to go pick up my wife now. And hopefully this card does not get destroyed. I will have to get another card. More things for me to learn. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.